Well, let's do something a little different today. I had a hankering for some meat product. We're going to make ourselves some homemade Salisbury steak. Can't wait. It's pretty easy. So let's get to it. First up, we need to make some breadcrumbs because I don't have any handy. Pull out the heavy duty equipment. There's our food processor. And I don't really have stale bread. Crackers will do in a pinch. So I've got one sleeve of crackers. I have another dish I've got to make, so I'm not worried about overdoing. I only need a half a cup of breadcrumbs for this. You could always use more breadcrumbs until I can get around to making my own Myco breadcrumbs. There we go. That's one sleeve into the processor. Let's get the lid on and crush them into breadcrumb size crumbs. Doesn't take long. They break up real easy. Maybe 30 seconds, maybe a minute at most. That's it. There, look at that. I'm going to have more of a mess to clean up. That's alright. So we're going to get it in a container till we need it. And of course I keep spilling more and more. That's about our half cup. Maybe a little more than that. So next up we need an onion. We're only going to use a half of one though. So I peeled it and we're going to slice it thin and chop it up thin. You don't want ginormous pieces in your steak, but you want some in there. It's going to give it a little extra flavor. I suppose if you wanted to, you could take this and kind of saute it a little bit. Might give it a little extra flavor, a little zing, but you don't have to do that at all. So there's our onion all nice and finely chopped, and then I decided, yeah, there wasn't enough onion. So of course this measurement's all your choice. If you like onions, great. If not, that's fine too. So I brought out 2 containers for all these onions. I kind of decided I'm going to put some of the onion in the gravy. And I'm going to divvy it in about half. So there we go. There's our onions. Let's put them aside. Next up, some mushrooms. 1 container of mushrooms. Rough chop. You know, you can chop them a little finer if you really want to. I'll set that aside. Now we're going to make our steak. That's 1 pound of ground beef, 1 egg to hold it together, and to this we're going to add a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, teaspoon of oregano, in go the onions, in go the breadcrumbs, and now the fun part, we mix it all together. And of course, why I didn't use a bigger bowl? I don't know. Sometimes I figure, yeah, I don't need it. We'll work it out. So now I've got some parchment paper that I'm going to put this on. And the recipe I had said 4 Salisbury steaks. I could have doubled that. I made 6. And there's our 6 piles, roughly even. I could have made 8. That would have been quite all right with me. So it depends on how thick you like your meat, or, you know, do you want a lot? If you do, this was fine. I really wouldn't have bothered me if I would have made them thinner and a little smaller. But anyway, that's personal taste. So here we are. I've kind of mushed them all out into ovals, as you can see. Tried to make them as even as I could. So let's get over to our frying pan. A little bit of olive oil, tablespoon, well, ish. Medium heat. Let it warm up nice and hot. And I'm not going to get it all in, so I'm going to have to do this over 2 lifts. You want to really let it go 2-3 minutes. See how nice. Oh, that looks good. I think we got something here. Yep. There we go. Same amount of time on both sides. It should come out nice and golden brown. And I will put them in the oven to keep them warm until we're ready to eat. So onto a tin lined with paper towels. Here goes our second lift. These cooked up real easy. I was surprised at how easy it was to put together. There was nothing to it. All right, now there's our Salisbury steaks, but we still need some gravy to go with it, so I'm going to put that aside. Into the same frying pan goes our second container of onions. Now, I didn't add any extra oil. I didn't think I needed it. If you want a little bit, go ahead, or butter, or whatever you want. They cook down a little bit, and then in go those mushrooms. And we're going to let these cook down for 2-3 minutes. And once they're almost cooked, that's a tablespoon, believe it or not, I measured, tablespoon of flour. And we're going to mix that all together. Now there's a bunch of different ways you can make the gravy, but this is what the recipe called for, so this is what we're going to do. This is 1.25 cups of chicken stock. And I'm not really sure why I use chicken stock. It's a beef dish. And it's not like I didn't have beef stock in the fridge, because I actually did have an open container of beef stock. But I use chicken stock. Does it change it up? You know, it change it up a little bit. It would be like putting in vegetable stock instead. Not enough to really care one way or another. But I just thought it was funny because it's a beef dish and I'm using chicken stock. Anyhow, so we mix all that around, combine it all up. And that is a teaspoon of balsamic vinegar. And now to this, you could also add some tomato sauce and a tablespoon of Worcestershire if you want. But that's a good tablespoon of cornstarch with a little bit of cold water, and that's what's going to help thicken it all up. If you have a beef cube or beef liquid, or even, you know, I use beef bisto if you've got it, beef flavored cornstarch. It's perfect. So here we go. We need a plate, a fork, and a knife. And our Salisbury steak. And of course we're going to spoon some gravy on it. That's looking pretty good. Let's give her a try. And I like it. I like it. It's definitely something different. This would go really good with mashed potatoes and maybe some peas on the side or whatever you like. Well, there you have it. Homemade Salisbury steak. Hey, another great recipe. I hope you'll give it a try. Leave me a comment below, one way or the other. Listen, if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell, because that'll tell you the next time I upload a video. Feel free to share this and any of my other videos. And thanks for stopping by and watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.